So this is pretty exciting. My first thing I want to talk about is why we're here today. And I have my own thoughts, but I'd kind of like to hear from the room, why are you here today? What in King County recently, politically, issues-wise, has caused you to want to take a nice Saturday afternoon and come be with the likes of us? So raise your hand and just tell me why you're here today. James.
Taxes.
Taxes. Do I hear any other taxes?
Second. Taxes.
Right back here. Right here.
Me?
Both of you raised your hand. So.
The $15 minimum wage, and well, it was going to be 15, but the minimum wage for the state is going up. $13.50, yeah. And in Seattle, it's going to be $15, I believe, in a couple of years or so. Yeah.
Well, I actually think that's a great idea. Why don't we jack it up to $50 an hour while we're at it?
Inflation for the win.
So, and you, sir?
Yeah, no, Andrew and I have been joking that the Washington state government might as well call itself the People's Republic of Western Washington. So, yeah, just that whole problem in general. The reason why.
Well, I think you'll find this is a friendly crowd. We're in agreement there. Anyone else? Any other issues that Alex in the back?
Lack of jobs due to regulation.
Well, I think that ties in with the minimum wage when you increase the cost of labor, right?
Yep.
So, David in the back.
Identity politics has run amok, and you can't talk about anything without offending someone. And facts need to come out and be facts again instead of being.
I'm offended with what you just said.
Yeah. Prime example. There you go.
So, David, for the young people in the room here, what is identity politics? What are you referencing there?
That means where you have no individuality, that you base your entire self-identity off of the party you affiliate with. And it resolves in nothing good at all.
I think I have to agree there as well. Anything else? In the back there.
Jeff Jarrett here, cheers. I'm worried about King County and Seattle in particular. I'm worried about the fu-fuification of Seattle. It's becoming like San Francisco. It's very expensive to live there. It's becoming very elite. And it's because of tax policy. It's the left's vision to common pool everything, tax everybody, raise the rents, and I'm fed up with fu-fuification. That's what I'm hearing.
Is that a nice word for gentrification?
Yes. It's synonymous with gentrification, yeah. It means wrongful. There's a certain gentrification that's natural in markets. Seattle and San Francisco are very famous cities, but then the social policies exasperate it. There's certain natural market-based gentrification, but that's not what we have.
Well, you have no heart. Compassion.
Guilty as charged.
Okay, so some of the things that were top on my list were the homelessness problem, increasing rents. I don't know, most of you probably know that Jeff and I do foreclosure defense. I've been lobbying on this issue for quite a while. And, we have empty houses, and we've got rising property values and increasing rents, and the progressive policies seem to be making the problem worse. And tents are popping up around Seattle like mushrooms. Really. So we got the homelessness problem. We've got poverty. I mean, look at these tabs. What's that going to do to somebody's disposable income? If they're living right on the edge. Rapidly increasing taxation, regulations. I talked to builders when I was running for office who were telling me that the regulatory burden is just adding significantly to the cost of building, which then affects inventory. And we know what happens when inventory is low, prices go up. So injustice in our courts, I see that all the time. Homeowners that are facing banks have significant challenges. I'm hearing about families, dealing with the family court system. So there's definitely some injustice in our courts. Our leaders seem to be out of touch. On the last Saturday, I went to the 45th town hall, and Larry Springer was there, and Roger Goodman were there, and all they could talk about was more money, more money, more money. And you know what was interesting is the flip side is, oh my gosh, we're making so much money on these tolls, way more than we anticipated. We're making all this money on marijuana, way more than we anticipated. Oh, but we need more money for education. And oh, and by the way, you guys probably heard this from me from 100 times, but we spend $14,000 federal, state, and local per child on our education, and 1 in 4 doesn't graduate. I mean, you give me $14,000 in a class of 30, I hire a teacher, buy them all laptops, and send them around the world. I mean, it's the use of the money. So anyway, those are just some of the problems that I believe that we're facing in the state. And so I'm really encouraged because I think that the fields are ripe, so to speak. I ran for office in 2016, talked to a lot of people. The biggest issue, no one even knows what a libertarian is. They couldn't tell the difference from a libertarian and a librarian. You know, who is Gary Johnson? So I think our biggest hurdle is not our message. I think we have two issues. One is the branding of our message, and the other problem is having an apparatus that we can actually meet up with the number of voters that we really need to run some really strong campaigns. So how did I get here today? Well, it started back in about 2008, 2009. Recession hit my family. I got involved doing some research on the foreclosure crisis, woke me up to the Federal Reserve. I ran into Ron Paul, not in person, but online, so to speak. Became educated on the libertarian philosophy, and I consider myself sort of a Ron Paul Republican, ran for office in 2014, ran for office in 2016, and as a consequence of those two experiences, I realized that we really need to build a party apparatus that can effectively support our candidates. So that's why I'm here today, and that's why I'm going to be running for chair, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Statement of values. You'll notice a yellow sheet here. I'm not going to read this out loud here, but one of the things I've noticed, and when I talk to people in our community, is just this idea that libertarians don't have any compassion. We just want people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. We want to dismantle the safety net, blah, 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 blah. So with that in mind, I know that, and that free enterprise is more compassionate than any government program. It's brought more people out of poverty than any government program. But we need to effectively communicate that. So we sort of come up with this idea of love, logic, and liberty. Love is just this idea that we do have compassion. We care about people. We do not want people on our streets sleeping in the cold. I don't think anyone in this room wants that. And this pseudo-compassion that the left is selling us is not working. So that's where the love comes in. Logic, well, libertarians have the corner of logic. We could argue all day long on the issue. But, we have a lot of talent, a lot of sophisticated ideas. We just need to present them a little bit better. And then, of course, liberty. Freedom is what's going to get us going again. Right now, even from my own personal perspective, taxation and regulation is binding. It's like we're in bondage. And so we want to present this idea of love, logic, and liberty in our community. And another thing that we want to do is we want to build bridges with people in the other parties. There are people in the other parties that believe this way too. But we do have a two-party system. We're working within that system, and we need to recognize that. We have some Republicans in this room right now. I count them my friends. I think that we need to build bridges where we can and to effectively support our candidates and get some real change in King County. So that's sort of the vision I have for King County. Why the LPKC? Well, the two-party system's failing us. We, the Libertarian Party of King County, must be the change we wish to see in our own communities. Enough of this Facebook patriotism. We've got to get off our rear ends and get out into the streets and really do the things we need to do to support our candidates and to get the message out there. Anywhere there is a fight for liberty, a fight for justice, libertarians should be there.
Hear, hear.
As as King County goes, so goes this entire state. I think we saw that in the 2016 election cycle. King County is positioned very well, just because, basically because of our population. Bill Bryant, for example, before the King County numbers rolled in, he was ahead. And so that tells us that, while we have some significant challenges, we also have fantastic opportunity. I mean, the fields are ripe for us. And interestingly to note, King County is the 14th largest county in the country. And so if we can influence King County and we can influence Washington State, who here thinks we might be able to influence this entire country?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you guys, this is where it starts, right here. So, I wanted to read a couple quotes from my hero, Ron Paul. When one gets in bed with government, one must expect the disease it spreads. The most important element of a free society where individual rights are held in the highest esteem is the rejection of the initiation of force. Setting a good example is a far better way to spread ideals than the use of force. And I would hope that the LPKC would be a vehicle by which we could set an example of other ways of meeting the needs in our communities. So during my term, my goals are, well, as Nicholas Sorek says, to show up, be nice, and win. Now, some of the people on my team may say I'm not always nice, but I try to be, but I'm not perfect. When she's nice, she's very nice. When she's bad, she's horrid, I guess. So, and another goal is to recruit, run, and support local leaders and candidates, and create a party apparatus to support them. And you'll notice, actually, I'll pass this out later. Just the first steps to that is kind of a big four, getting an office, getting professionalized, getting our bank account, so on and so forth. Another thing we want to do is we want to host some street feeds. This will help us connect to other community organizations. It'll create some exposure, and we can work to meet the needs of the vulnerable in our community. This will also evolve our brand, and it'll be a training ground where we can learn to work together as teams, identify skill sets, so on and so forth, and this will support our campaigns later on. We also want to host town halls to facilitate education. We talk about the minimum wage here. Well, a lot of people just don't really understand how the minimum wage, affects the job market, and they don't understand just basic economics, really. So we want to do some town halls, and that will also facilitate the conversation. So I have no problem getting different viewpoints together to discuss these issues. And then we also want to raise funds. We cannot fight this war with no funds in the coffers. We're just going to be shooting blanks. So we need to set up a funding mechanism and get that kind of financial support. And, build it and they will come. I can tell you, people are waiting for what we're trying to do here. They're fed up with the two-party system, frankly. So today is the first step. I thank you so much for joining me today. This is really exciting, seeing a full room here. And I hope that you'll support the evolution. And notice I say evolution instead of revolution. There was the Ron Paul revolution, and, I got on board with that. But, revolution is sort of a trigger word. So how about we switch that to evolution? What evolution means is that we're going to evolve to something better. And I really think we can in King County, and I think this is the start today.